Does this sound familiar? You're texting this girl you find extremely attractive. You have the courage to finally ask her out. She says yes. And then all of a sudden it hits you. You become extremely nervous, extremely anxious, and you don't know how to make a good first impression on the date. Instead of focusing on, I'm just gonna have fun time with her, you start thinking like,
well, what if I do something that's gonna turn her off and then she's never gonna go on a date with me again?
In this mindset, you're automatically setting yourself up to fail because you're going to end up coming off extremely anxious and unconfident, and that's what's gonna push the girl away. Now you may be thinking, well, okay, Julia, then what do I do so I'm not super anxious when hanging out with the girl I find extremely attractive? Well, the other mindset I see a lot of guys have is they start picturing a future with this girl way too soon. They get attached way too soon. So they're haven't even gone on a date with this girl yet, and they're already thinking, well, she could be my girlfriend and maybe my wife. I can picture this future with her. I need to make sure she checks all these boxes. And when you have this mindset on the date, the exact same thing's gonna happen. It's not gonna come off natural. You're probably gonna fall into interview mode, and you're ending up pushing her away just because you have this idea in your head that it possibly could work out. So that's what this video is about today: how to stop overthinking on a first date. So the first step is thinking about things statistically. It is probably not going to work out. She may or may not end up showing up on the date, right? So there's girls that can flake, there's girls that can reschedule. Maybe you do get on a date with her and then you don't get a second date. But if you have this mindset where you put this so much pressure on yourself, it's not gonna work with that pressure. So might as well take that pressure off of yourself. So how you do this is you go into it being like, it's probably not gonna work out. And now I can see you guys thinking like,
whoa, I don't wanna think like that, because then like, you know, I'm gonna have that energy and it's gonna come off.
No, what I mean is if you have no expectations, you're just going in with it being like, I don't know how this is gonna go, I'm just gonna have fun with it, you're gonna take all of this pressure off of yourself. You're no longer gonna go into it being like, I have to, say all this cool stuff, I need to get her to like me. You're gonna go into it being like, hey, I'm just gonna go have fun and see where it goes. So by taking this mindset, right, this mindset of like, it's probably not gonna work out, you don't have these high expectations, because then if it doesn't work out, you're not let down. So how do we get into this mindset? So number one is watching comedy. So before a date, you want to loosen up. You don't want to be in your head. You don't want to be super anxious. So if you watch comedy, it actually gets you more in this laughable mood, this more relaxed mood. And then when you're on the date, you're feeling more confident. Number two, you want to make sure your style is on point. You want to be confident in how you're carrying yourself, what you're wearing, so you're not worried like, oh, do I come off as attractive or not? And I know a lot of guys are like, I don't like style. I don't want to shop. I don't want to fix my wardrobe. But that's why you need to find a brand that kind of fits your needs all in one. So I want to tell you guys about Edge Lifestyle. They are hands down the best clothing for men. They offer everything you need for your first date, to hanging out with a girl, or just your everyday wardrobe. They have the perfect fitting black jeans. They have joggers if you're doing a more casual date. Good fitting t-shirts that are tight on your shoulders and chest but looser around the waist. If you can wear clothes that make you feel confident, you're gonna be more confident on the date, and she's gonna notice. She's gonna notice that you actually put effort into your style. So I highly recommend you guys check them out. You can use my coupon code Julia to save some money at checkout. I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on this. This is hands down the best clothing for men. Number three, so you watched comedy, you wore clothes that made you feel right. Going on the date, a lot of times people are like, well, I'm super worried, I don't know what to say. So what I always tell guys is you want to have some questions you can pull from your back pocket. You want to be prepared for if you feel like the date is getting a little stagnant or you're getting a little anxious and you don't want to fall into interview mode. So a great few questions to have in your back pocket is, all right, I want you to close your eyes, and if you could wake up anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would it be and why? This, now she feels like she's on an adventure with you, that you guys can kind of like now navigate or talk a little bit more about like, oh, if I could wake up in the world tomorrow, I'd be in Bali. Oh, why in Bali? Oh, well, I really want to go to the jungle, blah, blah, blah. And then that allows you guys to like steer the conversation in this kind of flirty, fun adventure. Another question is great to ask is, okay, what is the craziest thing you've ever done? Because now this kind of is flirty. It's getting her to like step outside a little bit of her comfort zone. Maybe it's not a typical question that's normally asked on a date, but it's fun and it's flirty. You want to stay away from those interview questions like, where are you from? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. Now, if you are going to talk, because obviously it's common to be like, hey, what do you do for work? You want to ask like why, how, questions. You want to dig a little bit deeper. So if she says, oh, I'm a nurse, then you say, oh, how come you got into that? Now it's not just a one-word answer she's gonna, give you back. She's gonna tell you like, well, my grandmother was sick. And then again, you go down this other path and it makes the conversation exciting. Number 4, you want to keep the date moving. A lot of times people stay at one area and it gets very stagnant, and then it can come off as boring, and then you feel like anxious because you don't know what else to do. So what you want to do is plan a place, usually a bar, where you can be there for 45 minutes and you can have a drink, and then you can be like, hey, let's go check out this other cool bar right down the street. That way you're moving, you're changing environments. It allows you to kind of walk together. You can break that touch barrier, talk to her during the walk, and then set up in a different location. Again, this keeps the date exciting and you're not really doing a whole lot. It's not like putting all this pressure on you to be the exciting person. It's changing the environment that can help make the date seem not as stagnant. Number 5 is having that mindset we talked about earlier of not caring, but it's just trying, right? Like if you are so worried to do anything because you're afraid that you're going to mess it up, you're probably going to mess it up with that mindset. You have to just be like, hey, I'm having a good vibe. It's flirty. I've broken the touch barrier. She's let me touch her leg. She's let me touch her arm. I'm going to go in for the kiss at the end of the night. I know a lot of guys are really nervous about doing this because they don't want to get rejected or they don't want to ruin it, but it actually shows confidence. I can't tell you how many dates I've been on where the guy, I felt like we had a really good vibe, and then at the end of the night, he like gives me a hug, or he's like, all right, have a good night, and he walks away and he never goes in for that kiss. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, maybe he's just not that interested in me. You want to lead the interaction forward. You want to show that you're confident, and all these things we talked about are ways to do this and make you less nervous about the date because you have a game plan. If you go into it just being like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I don't really know, and that's where your anxiety comes out. And I worked with so many guys that this is what they do. But no, if you go in with a game plan, just like I talked about, and you have these mindset like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this and this and this, you're gonna feel way more comfortable and confident in yourself.